Here are my top 5 tips for raising chickens. I'll show you a chicken watering system that's been working really well. These hen hydrators work really well if you use them correctly. First, let me explain how not to use them. If you just simply hook it up to a container like this, you won't believe how much water you're going to waste. The chickens will learn how to use it no problem, but when they peck on it, all the water is going to drain on the ground. You could even use something the size of a spackle bucket, and in one day you're going to have all the water drain out. In order to get these things to work, you have to have a container down below like this that's going to catch the water once it drips out. Then you need a container like this that you can just clean out. Once the water drips into this pan, the chickens can drink it out of here, and that way you're not losing all the water on the ground. What's really nice is if you can have a big reservoir like this, so you don't have to continually put water in. Here's an old pretzel container, and I just hooked PVC pipe up into it, and then it goes right into the coop. You've got a large reservoir, it goes into the pipe, into the coop, then you can take the hen hydrator and put it into place. I allow this to be able to be pulled off so you can clean it. This is a 45-degree plumbing part that I put a plastic cap on, then drilled and tapped this hen hydrator into place. I'll put this firmly into place so it doesn't leak. Then put clean water in. Now, it wouldn't take much to take the rainwater off the coop and put it right into the container. On the bigger coop, this works really good. I've got a rain gutter right out to another bucket. I don't have a gutter hooked up yet to this, so I just put water in, but this will last about a week or more. To check to make sure everything's working, I just go into the coop and I hold a screwdriver onto the hen hydrator, and you can see that the water just pours right out. Everything's working perfectly. Although this system looks a little complex, the chickens figure this out pretty quickly. Here it is in action. You can see them drinking out of it. With the food, you want to make sure that the chickens can't jump into the feeder like this. It's possible that they can eat down far enough that they can't get out of this. Not only that, but you can see that they perch on this thing and they make a mess inside the food. I'll show you how you can take care of this problem so they don't get in there like this. Also, you'll notice that there's 2 trays in here, and there's a very important reason why. When the chickens eat the food, they start kicking it all over the place. If you have the second tray, a lot of the food goes in here. If not, you'll lose so much money on food because it'll go right on the ground. If it's a single tray like this, you'll kick it right on the ground. An old container like this can go over the top, fit nice and tight so the chickens can't get in. It just has to fit pretty tight so they can't knock it off. I have found that an old funnel like this works really good because they can't even sit on it. Unfortunately, the funnel's a little bit small, so I'll use this container. A cover will keep the food nice, clean, and dry. To keep the cost of food down, whenever you see a torn bag, you can get it for about half off. If you've had little chickens, you know how they play in this stuff and just waste it, and at this point, it's pretty expensive. If I set a feeder in there like that, they would just peck in here and just throw it all over the ground. A second tray just a little bigger is going to save you a lot of money in food. This pan has a raised section, and so does this one, so when I put it in, it'll auto center. Now you can see when the chickens come in here and just start kicking the food around, it'll go into this second tray. And to keep them out of the food and keep the food safe, you can put that top on there. I'll go ahead and put this in with the chickens so you can see how they actually respond to it. Inside the coop, I'll show you how this works. The bottom of this coop has this rabbit cage, so the droppings go right through. Makes it really easy to keep clean. We'll need to get this into place, put all these chickens in here. Now we've got the food container in there, and with about 16 birds, this will last a week, no problem. And with the water system here, this will easily last a week as well. If it gets cold at night, I've got a light to help keep them warm. They really like these perches, so I put some perches in here just to keep them a little happier. Now they can play as much as they want and not waste that expensive food. I don't put latches on the chicken coop because animals can figure it out, like a raccoon, but they can't figure out a drywall screw. At least not yet. You can see those chickens will jump up in there, but they won't mess with the food. See, those chickens are using that hen hydrator. They'll peck at it, and they'll also drink out of the cup. Hawks are a big problem for little chickens, so if you take fishing line and put it above the chicken run, it'll help protect them from the hawks. Take this fishing line and just run it from pole to pole. It's hard to see this fishing line, but the hawks have no problem seeing it. Got some baby chicks today. They were like 50 cents a piece. We keep them inside under a light for a while. You can see without that second tray how much they just kick all over the place. It's important to have that second tray so you don't lose all that food. This will work a lot better. Now when they kick out the food, it goes into the second tray, not all over the ground. It didn't take long, and you can see there's all kinds of food in that second tray. I like to use dry grass clippings for the young chicks as long as nothing has been sprayed on the grass. You don't want any insecticides in there. The chickens really like this, and it keeps the smell down. After the chickens are done with it, you can re-compost it for the garden. When the chickens are full grown, we built this coop out of old pallets. The egg-laying bays are up front. We've got water with a light to keep it from freezing. We have the corn, we have scraps, and this is where they lay the eggs. In the back of the coop, we have big doors so you can clean it out easy. We put grass clippings and wood chips so it all composts for the garden. When the chickens get bigger, they're in here. The compost from the chickens goes into the garden. Compost works really well. Just work it into the plants. Every year you learn something, just kind of apply it to what you're doing.